That's correct, yep.
Now, Sam was.
On the back of the report card, I'll tell you that.
I think we need to go on and start with the playground. We don't want to mess with baseball season, but I'll be honest with you. I think this construction project, albeit it's curb and gutter, it's nothing to it. I think it's going to drag on into the fall.
Oh, really?
Getting federal permissions and all these kinds of things, and permits. We've turned it over to the consultant, but curb and gutter and sidewalk project is really dragging out. So I think this summer, in accord with baseball, and then we'll move the playground. I don't want to do it next week or
There's an
anything.
all-star tournament they're hosting this year too, I believe,
Yeah.
so it might push it to like mid-July.
We will stay out of that, but I don't think we want to wait all that long.
All right, utility upgrade, project number 7. Yes, sir, Mr. Miller, yes, sir.
Look, how much, like you said, you got a lot of work going on here. How much of a problem is it for the Gators to get a practice field, right?
Well, I don't think it'd be that much trouble. I will tell you the lighting at Wrigglesworth Sports Complex, I think I used the right term, it was amazingly inexpensive. We did a lot of the work, but the material was only $60,000. It may be $62,000. It really wasn't that terribly expensive. Again, the town has the labor. It's not difficult to put it up, and the materials were far less than I expected when we did Wrigglesworth. That was all 4 fields. So
Didn't the Gators practice on one of the baseball fields last year?
Yeah, we practice on it, but, like you say, you got, like now, we can't get on the field until the 1st of August. Due to the fact, like you say, you got the softball team.
Right.
And so really, the Gators, they provide a lot for this community. It also is a feed up to the high school. Absolutely. So it would make sense because you're getting them off the street, you're giving them something to do, and we would just really, it would be nice if we could get our own practice field, we would be out everybody's turn, and it would be a whole lot better for everybody.
Well, I love the fact you're practicing Blackstone because years ago the Gators at Nottaway Youth Football practiced at Galoobic, and by having everybody practicing Blackstone, there's some residual economic benefit from that.
So, I wish, that we could look into this and see if we can get it to practice.
I think once you see this project completed with the curb and guttering, and I think that's going to be our next step to, if there are any more projects in that area. I mean, in the ultimate plan, it had a field down closer to, it was a football field,
Right.
closer to Oak Street. And I think once you see us extend our parking lot, you'll actually see it progress. The only thing I can see as an issue going closer to Oak Street is the residents complaining about lights, but I don't know if that's an issue. I'm just,
Well, so you're only talking about August, September, October.
Yeah, no games there or anything. Just practice.
We talking about practice 6 to 8.
yeah.
resolving where to do it probably is the biggest hurdle. I mean, putting up the lights and the posts, it's really not that difficult for the town.
The ideal place would be where the current building is sitting now,
Yes, it would
There
indeed.
you go.
It would be.
because it's closer to all the fields, so you don't have neighbors to complain either way,
You're right.
and that'd be the ideal spot.
It's been talked about.
Oh, I know.
Mr. Mill, thank you.
The Gators will be out everybody's heard.
You're not in anybody's hair.
No, we're glad to have you. And y'all, I'll tell you what the Gators do as far as what it costs to put a football team together.
We don't ask anybody for anything.
Y'all do a wonderful job.
That's all we need is practice.
All right, we're going to move on to new business. And first we have a list of surplus items, which we,
Need to hit number 6 and number 7 in the old business very
oh,
quickly.
sorry.
Public hearing covered most of the east end. We have
Yes.
signed the general services agreement, but I'm asking council as a formality to authorize me to execute a task order for B&B Consultants to go ahead and finish the design work on the east end.
Second.
Motion been made by Mr. Nash, seconded by Mr. Scott. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? 7-0.
Second item on the East End project, we still do not have funding. We have not financed this project. We're moving forward with the engineering. I have, I believe, and I've spoken with Bill Collins over at the bank, and he's very gracious to assist me with it. I don't think that the rates that were offered initially will continue to be, I don't think they can honor them, because I think the rate structure and I think the interest rates have changed over the past several months. I did contact Davenport and Company and asked them what they would charge to finance and put together the package for the East End project. They indicated their services would be $10,000 and bond counsel at $15,000. Okay, this is a cost of issuances that we were trying to avoid, but that would take it out. They would handle the bidding and/or going back to the Virginia Resource Authority. VRA has been running about 3%. The market has been below that for some time, but now I think the market is above that. The problem that I did not want to get into with the VRA is early prepayment penalty, because these are considered municipal bonds, and we have to wait 10 years typically before we can pay those off. So it's to be avoided. I vastly prefer putting it in the private sector because it gives us flexibility. As money's come available, we can make a payment, an extra payment. With these bond schedules, we can't make an extra payment. So I still don't have the funding, but I would like to engage Davenport and Company to do the procurement for the East End project. And
Total of $25,000.
well, only for 10 right now because I don't know if I need a bond counsel, to tell you the truth. Okay. Bond counsel may be unnecessary.
I know we went through a huge ordeal before, but is there any way, and Ben touched on it earlier, put everything in writing as to what we want and hand it out instead of paying $10,000? I mean, I just,
Well, we tried that, and I don't know if that's, and sitting down and looking at those rates, but I think Davenport can probably find an even better rate out there by putting it in writing on their terms.
you think we can make that $10,000 back?
Yeah, I think you'll find over the life of the thing that you'll be able to reduce your,
As Philip has said
interest
before, we'll not be local most of
Oh, it'll be Carter, it'll be somewhere like, who got the last
Missouri
Carter
or
Bank? It'll be a bank in Danville
Mississippi.
somewhere.
we borrowed it from Mississippi last time.
Yeah. Yeah, what's your pleasure, folks? It's not an insignificant issue we're talking. I know the hour's late. It's a fairly significant issue.
I hate dumping $25,000.
I do too.
I'm just asking you for 10 right now.
Yeah, but if 10's gonna lead to 25, I
You
mean,
can write a letter, I can write a letter right now and have you mail it to Benchmark, Citizens, and BB&T.
Billy and I team
I'll
up.
only
to do it for
charge
$1,000.
1,000.
We'll team up and do it for 1,000.
But are you getting the best rate? I don't know if you're getting the best rate that the market will provide, because the rates are not static right now. They're moving around.
Right.
Well, now let me ask you this, can we not do that? And take a look at them and see if we wanna reject all three bids before we do something else? I mean, that way, nobody can say you have not attempted to do it locally.
I think it's making really good sense. Now, you eliminate, that's right, when we wake up every day, there's gonna be people throwing darts at us no matter what. But when you can minimize the number of darts, it's always a good thing. We're gonna get darts.
Covering the bases. And the intention was and is to use local. I just don't know if we use a procurement
Right.
through Davenport if it'll be local.
But for now, all we're doing, Mr. Moncur, is we don't have to spend $10,000 and we may have a chance to shop local.
I move that we write these letters to the 3 or 4 local banks or whatever close by, here local. Ask for bids on it. And then we make a decision whether we wanna reject the bids and start over. And at that time, let Davenport also get in on it.
I would even say in the letter to the bank, say that town council, of course, as you know, has a right to reject any and all bids. We would like to do this project locally, and if bids are favorable, we will pick a local institution.
That all items bidded to us are the same exact item. Like before.
That's
we
a loan.
had- We had
In writing.
5-year payoff, we had 50, I mean, it was just,
Right.
I need to make sure that everything is.
We can go back over it, but it was an RFP. Give us your best proposal.
It's in writing.
In order, well, that's what we did before. Give us your best proposal. You give us the best terms. There are certain things that we must have, and anything in addition to reduce the cost is that.
Bank comes back to you with a different,
You gotta pick duration and pick the amount of money.
I got a question.
How much money you wanna borrow and what duration? That's what you gotta give.
What is your, time frame on this? I mean, can it wait till next
This
month?
could probably wait.
Oh, yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
would you humor me and turn this over to finance and let us?
It's
work
referred to
this
finance committee to make sure we get the proper wording on the RFP. Yes, sir.
In honor of Black History Month,
Yes.
we have a person here who's been here all the duration. She's part of Black History. She and Constance Wynn were the first 2 black women voted for town council. Barbara Thompson.
Yes, indeed. Let's give them a round of applause. And I don't mean it.
Bow.
It's all right.
Well, now,
Well, listen, well, another historic figure, and I don't know, I was gonna save this for the mayor's minute. Mr. Tucker informed me, called me last week, who's been on this council since 2002. The only person to run as a write-in and win There's also a key figure in the 1986 the ward system. Mr. Tucker is not going to seek re-election, and I think let's join him in a round of applause for his years of service. He's been a very quiet, steady warrior. And
I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed the journey. Picking my words from me. I've always said I wanted to do this at some point in my life, but at that point, and when it came to me, I started off into it, and it's been a great ride. Really enjoyed it.
Thank you for your service.
absolutely. Mr. Scott, do you want to say something?
Yes, this is also my last term.
Oh my goodness! Are you moving though?
I'm moving.
Well, let's give Mr. Scott a round of applause here. Thank you for your service. And we gave Mr. Hammond applause. I'm going to ask you, listen, I'm going to tell you, Mr. Scott, Mr. Tucker, been very good, quiet, strong leaders. We appreciate your service. And I also want to say, there's no one that's worked harder before every council meeting than Ben Green, and Ben Green has announced he's not going to seek re-election this time. I want you to give him a Blackstone thank you as well. Thank you. When he comes, I will say this, when Mr. Green comes up here, if you happen to look over to the left, you're going to see a bunch of highlights. The man has read his packet. I can promise you that. Thank you, Mr. Norbeck. You've got approval and direction. Are we ready for new business?
No.
Okay.
Utility upgrade project. This
Yes.
is work that's gonna be done at the water plant, the wastewater plant, and the line between the bowling alley and the main gate. And I'm asking authorization to bid the project. The money is already in place, and it is sitting in a money market account at Benchmark Bank.
We've authorized the manager to seek bids, so
It's $2 million and
Proceed with seeking
big deal.
bids. New business, surplus property, surplus equipment.
one of these buses, could we use one of these buses? Do you have a suggestion? Maybe we can pull one of them out, Josh?
Yeah, bus 4 is the third item on the list. That's the one we're deciding.
2109, the last one, is that one talking about the third one on the list?
500.
Yes.
Okay.
That's one we could use for the, Gene Laxton mentioned, the Christmas light tour. We discussed that a couple months ago. All right, so you want to take bus 4 out of that surplus list and approve?
I'd surplus them all,
Oh, we have to surplus first before we buy it.
plus everything, and then we'll work out to make sure how we need to acquire that bus, because it's the town's intention to acquire it. And I think Andrew Riddle has told you that we can do that through a certain process, and we have to pay amount of money.
Members of council, I'd entertain a motion to declare surplus.
So moved.
Second.
All right, Mr. Green's moved, Mr. Scott second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, the ayes have it. Nottaway County Planning Council dues. I didn't realize we paid to join the county. $1,700.
There's the invoice. It was not included in the budget.
Is this a new thing?
We pay it every
We
year.
pay it every year.
Yes.
No, but we didn't
For the
budget.
position that's out at the,
That was paid Mr. Hill and the staff.
yeah,
County planner,
County planner.
Megan Haley.
yes.
Doesn't have anything to do with Mr. Hill.
No, it's Megan Haley.
Yeah.
What's your pleasure, members of council?
Did we inform Nottaway County that we were not,
I told Ronnie on the phone.
well, then I moved that we would.
I bet you do.
Table this issue.
Let's move the table.
I moved to table.
Is there a second to the motion?
Table it.
I'll second it.
All right.
What you got on your mind, Mr. Hammond?
Well, we are the only one that hadn't paid, and I think we were obligated
We-
to pay it. It's always been paid, and if it wasn't gonna be paid, they should have been notified long before.
He
now.
notified him.
I've talked to Mr. Rohr, but it was not included in the budget. And if this is for the current fiscal year, and if it's the council's intention not to pay for it for the following fiscal year, you guys have been going to the meetings. We don't use the service. I don't know of exactly what the service provides.
Can they find us a little bit more on emergency service?
Maybe.
Well, is there, let me make sure without getting a whole lot of, are we happy with being members of the Nottaway Planning Council?
I think that's the deeper issue.
Okay,
We don't get any.
okay.
I believe they should have been notified if we were not gonna pay it. We've been attending the meetings, he and I have.
Well, Mr. Green did move the table, and there's a second to that motion. The only thing that would take priority would be a substitute motion. How strongly do you feel?
Well, I don't have to go back.
Well, let me, all right, I got a motion made and seconded to the table. All in favor on that, say aye.
Well, I mean, I'd rather the council talk it out.
Okay.
Can
He's
the
got a
two of
good
them, since
point.
they go to a meeting, I mean, I've never been to one, obviously, they're on that committee, but what do y'all discuss at the meeting?
I went to a bunch of them when I was.
I went to him for 4 years.
So what's at the meetings? Is it useful to the town of Blackstone? Is it, are we getting our money?
Stuff for Cruz, Burkefield,
I never saw them.
Burkefield,
and
Nottaway.
Nottaway County.
So why are we never included? I mean, it's,
We can apply for any of the things that they are getting grants for, but we never do.
It's there for us if we want it.
I do think what Mr. Hammer says is being neighborly and being diplomatic. I think if there was angst, maybe it should have been communicated sooner, but apparently it was. What
I
do
don't
you,
know about the first of the year. No, I'm not saying that. I've talked to Ronnie, I don't know, a month or two ago about this.
Okay.
I said, got your invoice, dude,
okay.
on the budget.
Well, I mean, it's just, if it's something we pay every year, then why was it not budgeted this year?
I
Just
remember last year, it was specifically, I believe, Sam asked, are there any dues or subscription fees that we pay? And it came back in the budget committee or finance committee, there's a bunch of magazines that we had that we cut out. And
Okay.
This wasn't a secret. I mean, I'm proud of the fact, in my 4 years as chairman, that we're above board. We haven't legislated under the table. I mean, we brought this up. We notified the council.
Okay.
Now, whether or not we notified the county or not, the gray area I have is I'm in agreement with Mr. Hamner. They've been continuing to go to the meetings. We, in good faith, we haven't indicated that we are severing from them. So, if you're agreeable to this, then I would say we pay half this invoice and we cease and desist from being part of it. You send them half the invoice, and you write them a note that we're resigning, quitting, whatever you think the appropriate term is. That's a suggestion.
How much was that invoice?
$1,787, $1,787. The optics, y'all, I know I worry about optics too much, but it looks like almost, are we cutting ourselves off? I mean, the county's come so far as far as unity and lower end, upper end.
For us.
Just worry about how this is gonna be perceived.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am, you sure may.
Was this Nottaway County Planning Council formulated when Nottaway pulled out from the Piedmont Planning Council?
Yes, ma'am.
It sure
Yes,
did.
ma'am.
Good memory, yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I asked that, I served as citizen member on that
You
one.
did, you did.
And, that we used to meet in Farmville.
Yes, ma'am.
The county has not brought us one person interested in putting a hotel here. They push their own stuff out there, but they haven't. The council has not represented the town specifically.
I don't think we ought to get up here and bash the county.
I'm
No
not-
matter
I'm
of,
not.
do we owe this bill or not? That's the issue before us. Do we owe this bill or not?
And why would you only pay half of it, just because of half the fiscal year?
Well, I mean, half the fiscal year, we just go ahead and tell them.
half the meetings, I guess.
Right.
I mean, I'm just making a suggestion. I mean,
Your motion is still on the floor
well,
to table.
I'm going to withdraw that
Okay,
motion
all right.
until council, hey, we have some idea what we're going to do here. I mean, where'd he go? What's the right thing to do in your mind?
Well, if Mr. Hamner and Lee have been going to these meetings, and I guess they didn't know that we weren't paying the tuition, certainly at a minimum pay the half, and if you want to make amends, but I'll be honest with you, we don't use them. I be honest with you, I don't know. I don't know if I've met the director of the place. I don't know if I have. Megan, I may have bumped into her a time or two, but you know, when I have clients, when I was in private business, I pursued those clients. Work the phones, make the calls, sell ads, sell cars, sell, and I don't think that's necessarily the case here, where we being the client, we don't get pursued. Oh, by the way, take a look at this, or oh, by the way, we've got this going on, or by the way, would you like to participate? And recently I called Ronnie, and one of the reasons given by DHCD that we were turned down for the previous East End grant was that we don't participate in a planning district commission. We lost points. I don't know how many we were, 5 points, 10 points, 15 points. And that's just the nature of the beast. We're not in a planning district commission, and we don't comply with the regional priorities. I think I've used the proper term. And most places will put housing as a regional priority, okay? And then the PDC put them in the hopper, and Ms. Briggins, if she went to those meetings many years, there were regional priorities that were established. And I asked Ronnie recently, I said, all right, what are the regional priorities for Nottaway County? He says, we don't have them. We don't have those. So I think we're going to lose the points again this time, but maybe we're stronger on the points in other issues. But
Well, you know, I appreciate that, Philip, I really do. You know, when we were going over the budget, we had hotter button topics, okay? So what I'd like to do is I'd like for us to decide whether or not we're gonna withdraw first, and then then we'll address this invoice. I move we withdraw, resign, whatever you wanna say. We sever ties from the planning council.
Is there a second to Mr. Green's motion?
Second.
Ms. Thompson is seconding. Any further discussion?
I'm just still very baffled at what they offer to us. I mean, you talk their grants for us to get. What are they, where's the communication been? Have they confronted us with it? I mean,
I can't, the time I served on it, Richard Eaton and I served on it for
Remember
a
that?
couple of years. And I can't remember ever being approached with these things are available for us.
Right.
Or this information being specifically brought up at the meetings.
Well, let me just preemptive one little thing. We get a sales pitch every year, and she comes down here, Mary Hickman from the Commonwealth Regional Council. God bless her. She talks 30 minutes, and she knows we're not going to join. Why don't we invite the lady from the county, Megan Haley, and give her a chance to remind us what we do before we sever ties with our friends and neighbors to the west? Could you humor me on that?
That's a good
I don't ask a whole lot from y'all. but I just worry that this is going to look like Blackstone out marching to its own beat, and that's not always bad. But I love the county unity right now, man.
I mean, like you said, if we just knew what they did, it'd be
Right.
nice. So
And I'm just let's give the fine folks in Nottaway a chance to talk for 10 minutes or 5 minutes and remind us of what they do for us.
and maybe that will put a little fire under their tail. And help
I
us
do
out.
remember, and I do remember the late Steve Ferguson. I do remember the late Steve Ferguson playing a very vital role. He was the first director, and he helped with that medical center project and some other items. So I don't want to sell them short
You
yet.
want me to?
Can y'all?
All right, I withdraw my motion.
I thank y'all. All right. Very good. Thank y'all so much.
So with that being said, what do we do about this invoice?
When in doubt, my dad always said, if you don't know what to do, don't do anything. Let's have Megan Haley talk to us in March.
Listen, I move that we invite this lady to come speak to us about this.
March
And after
19th.
we hear what she has to say,
you
judge
go
whether
from
we
that-
want
go
to pay
from
this
there.
invoice.
On March 19th.
I think that sounds great.
I second it.
All right, Mr. Moncur has moved and it's been seconded to invite Megan Haley on March 19th. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? At that time, after the presentation, at some point during that meeting, there will be a vote on the invoice. No pressure, Ms. Haley. All right, rental property inspections, discussed earlier at length.
I think Yvonne is here to discuss. I think we've talked about, we're going to do this in April. It hadn't been done for several years, certainly since I've been here, and perhaps even before that. I know Jennifer done it at one time. I think she even went as far as told you guys, man, this is really a lot of headache and work. But it's on the books, and you guys have said do it. With Jennifer departing and Yvonne being here, we understand it, we get it. April, we're going to
Yeah,
start the
March,
process.
in March, the building inspector, the county building inspector, are planning to meet, so we can discuss how we go about it.
You and Dean Lewis, I think it'd be a good idea when y'all decide, if I had that monumental task, I want to put the town maybe into 8 little quadrants and decide quadrant 1, quadrant 2, and let people know ahead. I don't know whether you want to let people know in advance or not you're coming, maybe not.
Yeah.
But as long as y'all can systematically find a way to do it on a regular basis. What does council feel about this? As you heard Ms. Davis earlier, it's a big issue. All right. Thank you, Yvonne. Moving right along to, about ready to hit the finish line here, Planning Commission reappointment.
Move to approve.
Real quick, Myra, I couldn't get in touch with her when I typed that up, but I did hear from her and she's in agreement.
All right,
It's a 4-year term.
motion second.
Motion been made and seconded to reappoint Myra Quick, Tommy Watkins, Dennis McCarthy, and Eddie Nash.
I'm sorry, who's the second?
Lee Scott.
What do you want?
Is there only one term expiring? Myra Quick is the only term that's expiring, so the motion doesn't include anybody
I'm
else.
sorry, you're right.
I think it needs to specify that Myra would be reappointed for a 4-year term.
Okay.
So we're keeping the staggered.
All right.
So moved.
Everybody else is still valid.
All right, motion been made and seconded to reappoint Miss Myra Quick to a 4-year term. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. No committee referrals. I had 2 items under mayor's minute. Let me go back to my notes. I received, well, there's one item in your agenda on federal opportunity zones. Walter McOsborne let me know that some of there's a push in the, I guess, General Assembly and also Congress to,
On March 2nd, we have to have authorization to submit an application. I don't think we're committing any money or anything like that to declare, and Nottaway County is, Amelia County is not, believe it or not, but Nottaway County is a distressed community by the standards. They want to know our interest in being assisted and being declared, having certain statuses conveyed upon us in the tax credits, so that businesses that choose to locate here may receive some of those tax credits.
and some of the I think some of the employees, if it's a certain investment, would not pay income taxes federal for 10 years.
I don't know all the details. I do know that they are looking in their criteria for some incentive. But by March 2nd, there's certainly no way to do that. Incentives by the town as one of the scoring criteria. I don't know if it's mandatory, but we'll find out. And if it's agreeable to you guys, we'll submit and find out what happens. Town of Blackstone and the census tract, I think, is what they're looking for. So the census tract incorporates the town of Blackstone.
This is part of the recent tax cut. So
Yes.
it does help some poor areas potentially. Members of council, are you fine with authorizing staff to see what he can find out?
And submit by March 2nd, but no cost associated.
Correct. I had 3 items. Number one, I know that a lot of y'all may have forgotten, but I did ask for names, and if you have some, that's great. I want to form a Blackstone Beautification Advisory Council, and I have one name I'd like to recommend that we can adopt this hopefully in March. Is Jenny Davis Bunn has agreed to be my rep on basically a group of volunteers that would identify and relay to the town, hey, you need to check out this property on North Main Street or wherever that's got an
Or
unsightly,
even our own stuff.
especially town-owned property.
Was there an ad put in the paper like?
No, we agreed. I asked if members of council would come forward with nominees, and they have no authority other than advisory. But I've had a lot of people tell me that we sometimes, and myself included, we get numb to blight. We get numb to our own property weeds. So I would ask council to come back on March 19th with recommendations, and we can form this panel and get them ready and going when spring and summer arrives.
Give us a email reminder, a couple weeks before.
But Jenny Davis Bunn has agreed to,
But I think council did agree to put that in the paper.
I don't
Yeah,
recall.
I made that motion.
don't
I
recall.
did. I made that motion.
I had 2 other items under mayor's minutes. Well, I had a great visit in West Virginia, and I don't need to belabor it here, but I can tell you, I was, on a scale of 1 to 10 with FAST, I was about a 5 for a long time. I'm about a 7 or 8 now. Their folks are coming here in and around Blackstone, Nottaway County, Amelia County. It's not going to be a home run. It's going to be a lot of good base hits. I had a visit from Mr. Tom Taylor. Tom Taylor, I believe he informed me that he was supposed to be in his home, or was told he would be in his home by December.
I'll come up to the podium.
Oh,
Go ahead.
Mr. Taylor's here.
Keep on
I'm
talking.
sorry, I didn't see you here.
Keep on talking.
And that he wanted to be he was supposed to be in his home by December 2nd.
Ain't nothing to
Well,
smile
let me-
at. Go ahead, Mayor.
And I believe he's concerned about when he may get back in his home and the amount of the months he's had to pay for utilities that he has not been able to.
I'll take it from there, Mr. Mayor.
All right, the floor is yours, Mr. Taylor.
All right. I've been out of my house for 5 months. October the 12th to February the 12th. All right. Only thing I want is a grace period. Don't start me on this payment March the 1st. Give me a 5 month grace period. I ain't asking for them to recuse it or nothing. Start in June or July. You got me additional service for 5 years making the payment. That's all. Give me an up and down vote. We ain't got. Don't ask no question.
We have
Don't.
to change the deed of trust on it, if that's what y'all want to do.
Do you understand his request?
I do not.
What you mean you do not?
Hold on, let's be civil.
What you mean you do not? What you do not?
Mr. Taylor, hold on. Mr. Taylor, point of order. Mr. Taylor, please, Mr. Taylor, Mr. Taylor.
What you
Point
mean
of
you
order.
don't understand? Talk to me. What you mean you don't understand?
Order, please.
All right,
Order.
Go ahead.
Order.
Black History Month. Screw the Negro.
No,
Go ahead, Mayor.
please, Mr. No. That's
I
not.
don't want to hurt. I don't want to hurt.
sorry.
I don't want to hurt. I don't want to hurt.
Order, please.
I don't want to hurt. When I want your opinion, I give it to you.
I'm gonna adjourn this meeting. I'm gonna adjourn the meeting.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I understand that.
I'll ask y'all to get on the same page after this meeting, if there's any way possible.
I'd be happy to discuss it with you.
If we be civil, Mr. Taylor, please.
Go ahead.
Okay, all right. Also, under mayor's minutes, that's all I had. That's all I had. Police report. Any questions? No police officers here. Citizen comments. This is a time where you can address council if you have any questions or comments. Yes, Ms. Doris Wynn.
I have a comment.
Yes.
I would like to thank you you all for inviting me to tour on the bus with you all, when you have a committee meeting. That and being here today and last time has been the most educational thing. Every citizen, you don't have room for us, but every citizen ought to be required to do it, because the things you all handle on a monthly basis is mind-blowing.
Well, that's a nice way to end the meeting. The meeting is ending much better than I thought it was. We have pivoted very nicely. Thank you, Ms. Wynn.
Can I,
Thank all of you.
Thank
can I
you.
touch on the, Mr. Taylor, subject just real
If,
briefly?
if you,
Mr. Mayor.
yes, sir.
Payment plan, mail me the book. I'm not
Okay. We're now, this meeting is now adjourned. I adjourn this meeting. Sorry, but I had to do that, folks. This meeting is adjourned.
We're going into the closed session or no?
There's no need for closed session. Thank y'all for coming tonight.
Ms. Davis,
Why not? I think the
Ms.
manager,
Davis,
did you want a closed
I need
session?
to speak to you,
I mean, folks had to do it. Second time I've had to
Do
do
you,
it.
Philip,
and that's not.
do you need a,